Am I the a-hole for letting my stepson, his girlfriend, and baby become homeless? My female 46 two stepsons, Eric 27 and Michael 30, live with me and their dad. But our relationship was superficial, since they kept reminding me that their mom was present in their lives and I was the outsider. They then moved away for college and rarely visited. My husband got sick with cancer and struggled for 2 years. Months before he passed away, I discovered that both Michael and Eric were slowly withdrawing money from our bank account. I didn't know they had access to it, but later found out they had access through my husband's financial information. I was livid because I needed the money for treatment and other expenses since I stopped working. I had a fight with both of them after they admitted they were moving money out of my husband's account before he died, so I won't get anything since the money was theirs. I threatened to sue, but Eric told me to buzz off because it's their money. I changed the old account immediately and moved what's left of that money to a new account. The week my husband passed away, everything in the house was taken. I'm not exaggerating. They moved everything out and sold it. My husband didn't leave a will, and I was left with just our house since my name on the lease. I haven't seen Eric or Michael for 2 years. Till a few days ago in the morning I heard noise from the outside. I opened the door and saw Eric with his car stuffed with his bags and a young lady in the passenger seat and a baby in the back. I was surprised they asked why he was here and what he was doing. And he said, "I'm moving back in my father's house with my girlfriend and my son." I was stunned, and seeing him unloading his trunk set me off. I shouted, "This is my house now, and he's not allowed to set a foot in it after everything he and his brother did." He attempted to argue that he lost his job and was evicted and had nowhere to go. He also said he and his girlfriend would have lived in their car, but there is a baby that needs a home, and there's his grandfather's house. Plus, everything that happened was planned by Michael, not him. I said they took enough already and I owe them nothing, but he ignored me and kept getting his stuff out of the car. Then he tried to get inside, insisting this was his father's house. That's when I showed him my phone and yelled that I will call the cops on him for trespassing my property. He was shocked by what I said and started begging me to let them stay just for the baby who's now my grandson. But I said no and told him to get in his car and leave. But he stalled and kept complaining about becoming homeless when his father's house is available. His girlfriend involved herself, crying about potentially having their baby taken away from them for not finding proper living arrangements. I said this wasn't my problem, and Eric kept begging, then said I was being cruel and unfair by taking my anger out on an innocent baby with no home to live in. He left but had his dad's side of the family shaming me for letting Eric go homeless and demanding I let him come to his father's house, but I refused. To answer additional questions, 1. Yes, my name is on the lease and now it's officially my house. 2. My in-laws live hours away, and the reason they said they won't take Eric in is that they don't have to when his father's house is available. So they're behind Eric, encouraging him to take back what's his. 3. I don't know anything about their mother, but she's certainly not dead, otherwise I would have found out. Now for the top comments. He left but has his dad's side of the family shaming me for letting Eric go homeless. Those family members could have given him a home as well, but they didn't. You're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. This guy is a criminal who already robbed you blind. Why on earth would you let him back in your life, much less your house? Honestly, find some family members you actually trust to come stay with you for a while, because this snake is not going to slink away that easily. Not the a-hole. They have already taken enough from you. If his dad's side of the family is so concerned, they can take him in. Protect yourself. Get the best locks you can afford installed. Make sure your windows are secure. Get Ring cameras for any entrance into your home. Install the app in your phone. They will record if anyone is prowling around. Take any proof of ownership that the house is legally yours, plus a few utility bills as proof you live there. Important papers like passport, birth certificate, social security card, pictures, and give them to a trusted friend. Pack a go bag with a couple of changes of clothes, some cash and an extra set of car/house keys, and keep it near the door. Call the police non-emergency line and give them a heads up. Names, descriptions, description of the car. If you have any proof of the family's harassment, show them. Ask if they can do extra patrols of your neighborhood. Alert your neighbors so that they'll call the police if they see any strangers in your street, strange cars, and frequent drive-bys. Tell them that you are not moving out and no one is moving in. If they see anyone loading or unloading their car into your home, they should call 911. It all sounds scary, but you are preparing for the worst possible scenario. You are now a freaking safety Boy Scout. You are prepared. Then live your best life. If things go down, don't panic. You have a plan. Grab your bag and go. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my spouse to forgive my mom and my sister? Plus update. I have been married to my wife for 8 years. The very first day my family met her, my mom turned her back on her and ignored her, and my sister came out asking if she was ever going to see the triplets again. My ex-girlfriend had kids from a previous relationship. I was so damn pissed and embarrassed, but my significant other handled it like a champ and acted like nothing. When we got home, she cried and was really disappointed. She had been looking forward to meeting everyone. I texted both my mom and sister and chastised them both for their rude behavior, and my mom's reason was because she really liked my ex and her kids. Same for my sister. I took my significant other to my mom's for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and my mom and sister were still standoffish. After we left, my significant other said she didn't want to go over anymore, and I promised her she wouldn't. I asked her to marry me a few months after, and we didn't invite any of my family to our ceremony. Not her choice. She said I was more than welcome to, but I didn't think my family deserved to be there. Then my mom found out and reached out and asked if we would like to have dinner. My significant other encouraged me to go, but she had no desire to. I went, and it ended up being a party at an Italian restaurant with all of my family. They were all asking for my wife, and it was so damn uncomfortable having to make an excuse. But I understood. My wife has stayed away but does help me buy gifts for everyone's birthdays and holidays and goes with me to visit my grandparents. Now, my sister's daughter was diagnosed with cancer this month. My wife has been incredibly helpful and has assisted in any way possible, and I was hoping this would lead to everyone forgetting the past. I asked my wife if she'd consider coming around to my mom's, and she refused. I told her I didn't understand why, that all this drama was 8 years ago and she was doing all this nice stuff for them right now. She said helping out is the right thing to do, but that it doesn't mean she has to be friends with them. I did raise my voice and told her that being stubborn helps no one, and she called me an a-hole for not understanding. So am I? Edit. Changed some details for privacy. Now for the top comments before the little update. You're the a-hole. Your wife is a saint for helping out and being kind when the situation obviously calls for it, but she doesn't have to forgive people who treated her like trash for years and years, and it's extremely unsupportive of you to keep asking her to. You are the biggest a-hole. Did your mother or sister ever bothered apologizing to your wife? Sounds like they continued their awful behavior toward her even after you called them out on it. I was wondering the same thing. I seen a mention of my mom and sister apologized and seemed sincere. They also try to reach out and include my wife, but I have sent messages /cards/gifts to her to re-apologize, but my wife still says no. Seems like mom and sister only told OP yeah sure, we're sorry about that. Let her know we are sorry. That isn't an apology to OP's wife. Yes, you are an a-hole. You promised her she didn't have to go back, so why are you trying to make her now? Man, all of y'all are really making me see things differently. I admit now I'm being selfish. With my niece being sick and my wife helping out, I thought maybe we could all just get along. I see now I messed up. Now for the little update. Thank you all for opening my eyes. I've never felt so attacked, but I'm grateful for it all. I have totally changed my way of thinking. My wife is amazing. The last thing I want is to take her around people who don't have her best interests at heart. Unfortunately, it took advice from strangers for me to see. Nonetheless, I am thankful. I can't reply to everyone. I have a lot of making up to do. My wife has read so many comments and would like you all to know she's very thankful to see so much support. She says she's always felt guilty about staying away, but feels better about her decision now. At the end of the day, my wife deserves peace, and I will not force her to do anything she doesn't like. She's pretty gleeful right now. Lol. Thank you all. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my son the truth about his mom? Their mom, 44 female, and I, 44 male, broke up 9 years ago because I caught her cheating with my friend in our own home with our 4-month-old son, sleeping in the next room. The breakup was hard, especially for the kids, but as parents we did everything possible so that they can be happy. And we decided that we would never tell them the reason we broke up until they are adults. For them, we only broke up because it was the best. We always told them that we functioned better separately, and that way we could all be happy. But I got tired. I met someone a few years after our breakup, and now we are married and have a 21-month-old girl, and she's pregnant with our second. But my 2 oldest kids, 19 male, 18 male, refused to meet their sister. They don't even speak to my wife, 27 female, and never wanted to tell me why. They just hate her. And at first, when we started dating, it was kind of understandable. My wife is younger, and she was the first person I dated after breaking up with her mother. So I decided to give them a few months so they could adjust to the new situation. But those months turned into years, and they never really tried to get to know my wife. And she always said that she was okay with that, so I decided to let it go. But their attitude just got worse. And when our daughter was born, they didn't want to meet her. And I'm not gonna lie, that pissed me off because they were treating her like a stranger, just because they don't like her mom. So for a while I stopped texting them since I was always the one who contacted them. And I had no interest in contacting them again. But the other day my wife was crying, and I asked her what was going on. And she showed me some texts they sent her. She tried to contact them a few weeks ago so we could fix our relationship. And they just insulted her. They called her a cheap woman and told her that they will never meet that bastard, our daughter, because they hate our daughter as much as they hate my wife. I read the whole thing and was so mad that I called one of them, and we had a fight over those texts. I decided that he hates my wife because his mom told him I cheated on her with my wife, which is a lie because I didn't even know her at the time. So I got mad and told him that he was wrong, and that the cheater was his mother, and that if he didn't believe me, that I could show them the papers that I still have from the paternity test that we had to do, because she didn't even know who was the real father of our 9-year-old son, because she cheated for years. He was speechless and just hung up the call. And now I feel like maybe I went too far because I shouldn't have told him that. But I was mad because I love my daughter and my wife, and I don't want anyone to hurt them. She's the sweetest and kindest person I ever met in my life, and seeing her sad or crying breaks my heart, and that's why I reacted that way. Am I the a-hole for telling him that? Oh, hell no. Not the a-hole 1,000 times over. Your ex crossed a line that should never be crossed, and only to screw you over for no other reason than out of pure spite and or jealousy. You did the right thing to combat lies with the truth. Eventually the truth will win out, but it'll take time. Yeah, lying about the innocent party cheating completely nullifies the proverbial non-disclosure agreement about the guilty parties cheating. Talk about literally asking for it. Not the a-hole. This is why no plan should include keeping secrets from kids. They don't work. You and your wife have suffered their unjust wrath long enough. Time for their mom to have her fair share. Not the a-hole. You were just setting the story straight. Your ex, on the other hand, major a-hole for lying to them to make you look bad and ruining your relationship with your kids. Agreed. X is the a-hole here. Opie's ex lied to his children to make him look bad. His sons are adults now, and they deserve to be told the truth. Justified. Your ex-wife lied to your children, and it had serious negative consequences for your new family, so they needed to know the truth. Passing on the information in a calmer way would have been better, of course. Still not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting my wife's son to leave the house after he turns 18? My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and she has a 17-year-old son from a previous relationship. The father left her and her son about a decade ago, and has not been present in their lives ever since. I know it was a traumatic experience for both of them. They have a very tight bond as a result. My wife is on permanent disability and doesn't work, so I am the sole breadwinner in the household. I've always tried to be a very present figure in my stepson's life, but I also understand that I am not his father. For the past 3 years or so, her son has been having a lot of behavioral issues. When it started, my wife and I thought it was typical teenager acting out type stuff. But when his behavior continued over the course of months and into a year, we knew we had to take more action. We attended family therapy, got him individual therapy and counseling, worked with his school counselor, tried getting him involved in extracurricular activities, etc. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into as many ideas as we could think of, hoping that something would click. But nothing has worked. His grades in school are near failing, and he is at risk of not graduating next year. He will refuse to leave his room for days at a time. He has zero respect for me as a person, let alone a parent figure. He fights us on attending therapy and counseling sessions, and will not participate when we get him there. I am at my wit's end, and I am also starting to feel the hurts financially because my insurance doesn't cover all of the therapy and counseling. My wife's disability checks take some of the edge off, but I'm hemorrhaging money at this point and failing behind on bills. My stepson turns 18 in a couple months, and I'm at a point where I want to stop paying for his therapy and counseling. I am also at a point where I no longer want him in my house at the end of next school year. After a recent outburst from him, I broke down to my wife and told her all of this. She wasn't aware of the financial problems because I don't want her to feel that her son is a burden on us. But as hard as it is to say it, he kind of is. Out of anger and frustration, I told my wife my feelings about wanting him to leave our house, and she flipped out on me. She accused me of giving up on him and basically being okay with him becoming homeless. She said she would never forgive me if I abandoned him like his father did, and that I was an a-hole for even thinking something like that, let alone telling her. It's been a huge rift between us since then, and it's put a huge damper on the holidays. A part of me wants to get this all out in the open since I think my stepson deserves to know what kind of strain this is putting on all of us. But my wife insists on being protective of him. I feel like no matter what, I am going to be the bad guy, but I also feel like I have done all that I can do. Am I the a-hole for wanting to quit supporting my stepson? Not the a-hole. You are doing everything you can to help your stepson. Unfortunately, you cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. While he is a minor and you have the authority to do so, have you considered inpatient help? I would suggest being honest with him. His behavior is unacceptable, and he either changes or leaves. You will pay for his therapy as long as he tries to help himself get better. This may cost you your marriage, but if you do not draw this line, you will be having the same conversation in 10 years. While he is a minor and you have the authority to do so, have you considered inpatient help? My wife outright refuses to even consider this. His therapist recommended it a little over a year ago, but my wife wouldn't even think of it. She then forced us to find a new therapist. That is denial, and all it's doing is enabling him. The shame of it is he probably feels the most lost in all of this.